JTV 0708 UK time. Question is Trump deflecting? That's why he's warring with everyone. Is this just about deflecting? What's your thoughts? Zero.
Blackbird singing in the dead of the night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of the night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of the night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be. All your life, you were only waiting.
The sounds of the Paragons. The song called The Blackbird Singing. So is Trump deflecting? What's happened to these files? Why these files ain't been released? And why isn't no one in America being held to account for what's in these files? Well, Epstein's American, innit? American Jew? Yeah? One of them, innit? Right? accused of, well, in prison for, I mean, just disgusting crimes, crime against humanity. You imagine you got all this money and you choose to pick on the children for your sexual graphic. Is it graphication? Is it rifleman? Is it graphication? Is it rifleman? Nasty dog. All that money he had, and his desires couldn't be met. Him turn upon the little children. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy going on with this Epstein. The last one I saw was the ranch. There's a ranch in New Mexico. I think I can. Let me see if I must can get it up here. The ranch, Epstein's ranch. Yeah, let's have a look and see what that says. Hold on, let me. I don't even know if I can. I saw was. Okay, I can be heard. Right, so Epstein, New Mexico. Yeah, that's the last one I see. The ranch. Let me just share my screen. One a memento. Okay, so yeah, this is the one I want. Right. The man could have any woman he wants. He choose to want the little children. That's what he wants. I mean, you know, it's outrageous, man. Outrageous. And then what's even more outrageous is no one's getting done for it, you know? No one's being held accountable for their actions because they have money or power or I don't know what they have, right? Because to me, that don't mean nothing. Because to be honest, if someone, right, if someone has money, okay, money, he's loaded, and then two twos I hear, or I see this man with little, yeah, you know, it's right. It's you know, the relationship is over there. You know, there is no more friends or nothing like that, right? Right. Obviously, I got this tabloid up here, right? And sorry to all my Liverpool people, yeah, right, because it's not a paper that I really deal with. Okay, I did have my time where I used to read the Sun, you know, if I could get past page 3. But while I was at college, one of my tutors said to me, "Oh, I can see where you're getting your information from," you know, and I didn't really understand what he was saying, you know. So I thought he was being, you know, a bit of a snob, but he was a snob rightfully so, because you won't be able to buy a copy of the Sun newspaper in Liverpool from what they said about the Hillsborough disaster, which is a tragic case. Um, and anyway, we're on the Sun and won't be on there too long, but I think this came up on I think it's on like my news feed, right? My news feed. About Epstein. Not that I've been looking at anything to do with Epstein. It just came up with Epstein on my news feed. I think, well, I have had conversations on my phone about it, so I would presume that's the only way of knowing that I was in, that I was talking about it or had any interest in it. And not that I'm very interested in. Where my interest lies is, since this man has disappeared, we just we're just been the world just spiraling out of control, spiraling, and a lot of injustice. Now this man was in a prison cell, right, and then and managed to escape judgment. Yeah, so even that don't even that's a bit shady. Now again, I can't say for facts, you know, this happened or, oh, hang on, I'm not sharing the right one. Sorry, people. Here we go. Right. So look at look at this title. Look at this title. The Devil's Lair. Sloppy investigators ignored my calls to seize Epstein's ranch. Right. Right. So they're saying that he buried people on this property. Now, this man likes to have properties in very remote areas, as if he's got like this cult, or he wants to be somewhere where people can't really see what's going on. Yeah, very private. So what is he doing that he have to keep so private? And the jury is out. I will not say for fact something that I know I can't prove. Okay, this is well above my weight. You know, right? Well above my weight class. Right? Okay. Yeah. The welterweight going for the heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Right? Not to say that because I fancy it. I fancy the heavyweight. Yes, I fancy it, but you know, there's reasons why people are in a weight class. You know what I mean? Not that I really mind it at all, to be honest. But going back to evidence and that, I ain't got no evidence to say what is what, and I'm certainly not going to believe anything that I see on the internet about what's happened here. But what I can do, is I can give it like my gut feeling, right? So when I saw that title about bodies, I I couldn't really disagree with that. I have no proof, but I think that is very likely to happen, or could have happened, or did happen. That's myself. I think personally that is a possibility, and a strong possibility at that. Looking at that location, looking at this individual, right, and what he's into, and what the kind of stuff that he's into, I wouldn't put it past him. You know. So this is him pictured there. Now, even pictures nowadays, you just don't know. Always been that way. It's always been that way. Pictures are not. They're not proper evidence. You know, right? Because you can doctor pictures. They've always doctored pictures. The whole essence of photography is doctoring. You know, it is an image of the world, but it's not the image of the world, is it? It's not the image of the world, right? So we've got some pictures here, right? So now this place is remote, man. You know, you could just drive someone out there, you know, and by the time someone actually finds out, all the evidence is gone, depending on how he set up his, you know. Say, for an example, if he's got an incinerator or something like that, then, just scatter the ashes. Yeah? So the man is, you see, a huge Z. A huge Z. There's a huge Z here. What did they say? It's A to Z? Oh, no, it's a huge Z. A huge Z sat on top of an entry to the estate. So if you spin around the Z, you get an N. The letter N. Right? The Z can spin around and become an N. If you flick him. Anyhow you flick him. If you flick him left or right. Yeah? And then if you flick him in another way, he turns to a Z. So that's two letters in one. So he chose to use the Z. So you have the A to Z. So Z is at the end of the alphabet. The letter Z. Let's see what he's going to say about the letter Z here. If there's anything. But that straight away, that's just alarm bells. You know. So we got Z is the 26th and final letter of the English alphabet. Pronounced Z, Z-E-D. Or in America is Z. So Z is the last letter of the Latin-based English alphabet, appearing in both uppercase and lowercase forms. It is a consonant and plays a key role in words formation, phonetics, and symbolic uses in mathematics and science. Let me see if I can go a bit deeper into that bit. Into right. So we got letter Z, two primary pronunciations. Yeah, so we said it's Z and Z. Right. Right. So you've got the historical origins here. So it says the letter Z originated from the Etruscans alphabet, which derived from the Phoenician alphabet via the Greeks. And this is in early Latin. So Z was removed around 300 BC by Appius Claudius Cassius, likely because the Z sound had disappeared from Latin or due to its visual resemblance to a grinning skull. You just can't make this stuff up. You can't. You just really can't. Right? So I mean, I presume Epstein was a clever person, like many criminals. You know, in the criminal fraternity, you have people with, you know, high IQs. Yes, also, it is a fact many people going inside, once tested, have drugs in their system. Yes, that is true. That is true. Right? But they're not all dumb. Far from it. Far from it. Far from being dumb. And I would have said Epstein. I don't know what, I'm gonna check it now, what his kind of credentials are, you know. But I don't think he's silly. So I mean, for him to put a Z up above the the ranch in the middle of nowhere, it's not. It doesn't seem strange to you. So it must have been a meaning. He must have put it there for a reason. It's not to say that it's like his name. Yeah, it's like his name or as such. Right? Is it? Does he have um a nickname, a pet name? Yeah. Right. So why did he use Z at you know, not welcome, not the name of the ranch, not his name up there, the Epstein Ranch, or you know, right? Under 12s or something like that, you know, apply within, huh? And look, I mean, to be honest, it's sickening to me because of the victims, right? And I don't want no one to think that I'm making an amusement in out of this. I honestly disgusted with what I can only think of what happened. And I mean, I doubt I can fathom exactly what's happened. But from what I'm gathering, this is absolute horrendous, you know, and especially the children. That is my concern, because you got a young child who deserves love and help, nourishing, you know, nourishment, and you know, lots of love and care. And for your childhood to be tampered with, especially in a intimate manner, it's just, it's just sickening. It's sickening to know that a, a grown up would put a child through that, right? Now the child, obviously, if they do make it out, they make it out and grow up. They have all that trauma they have to deal with. They didn't even have a start. You imagine? And shout out to all the people that, and it's not a few. There is many people that have suffered in childhood. They've suffered, and I couldn't for 1 second think what that's like. So if you're out there, and you've made it this far, we'll do a little minute silence for all the. We'll do a little silence for all the victims in this in, in this case here. Let's have a little silence in honor, right, of all the victims who don't get spoken about enough, and for all those that have been robbed of their childhood. Silence for that. I saw a comment under the Supreme Leaders. There's a video about the Supreme Leader. I'm not sure exactly which one. And a few of the comments were saying that, this is just about the files. All these wars are about the files. It's just a distraction by the president. And someone decided to put down underneath the comment, yeah. He said, who was not in the. I know for a fact who wasn't. Well, I don't know if he knew it for a fact. I don't think he said that, actually. He said he knows that the Supreme Leader was not in the Epstein files. Well, I can't prove that, but he may not have been in the files, but that doesn't mean to say a man is without sin. That is impossible. That is impossible. But we do know that someone's in the files, and mentioned quite a bit, and that's the president. who also was very friendly with this man. And again, the files seem to be, it's just not like they're not being released properly. I mean, as I said, I haven't had a look at myself, so I only go for what I hear on the radio, yeah, or from what I read in the newspapers or as such. I haven't physically seen any evidence myself. But what I'm hearing is that there's been a massive cover up. Yes, it's been a cover up. So again, we're going back to the ranch, right? We'll finish up with this quickly. So there's, we've got the Z appearing on the ranch. Now, I mean, this is a resemblance to a grinning skull. I never knew that myself. So is it like the Halloween kind of pumpkin kind of? That's what I'm getting a picture in my head, right? Like a grinning skull. Apparently, it resembles, right? So you got your variants. You got your zeta, ZZ, zeto, zata, yeah. And then beyond language, Z is used in mathematics, physics, and scientific notation, often representing integers, axes in 3D spaces, or symbolic concepts. Its distinctive sound and visual form make it a unique and energetic letter in both communications and culture. So that's what he decided, yeah? That's what he decided to put on his ranch. And look how secluded. If you had this picture, so you had a picture, you had to pick a picture that you said, where would be the best place to bury bodies? I'll pick this one. I say, yeah, man, that looked like a good place for that. That looks like a massive cemetery to me. So, we got the speed and resources are absolute necessities, yeah? Right? And so lives are lost and evidence is usually destroyed the more time passes away. Not only is this the most atrocious human trafficking case that rises to the elite levels of power, this is a case that needs to be studied for the numerous mistakes that were made. Here, here, here. So, why this place being looked at? I said, time goes by, evidence disappears. So it's called the Zorro Ranch. So that's where we get the Z from. So it's the Zorro Ranch, yeah? So maybe the rest of the letters fell off, which only left the Z. You imagine, yeah? The only letters that left, not the O, not the R's, the Z, remained firm above the entrance. So we also got another convicted file here, right? Right? So this is a new criminal probe with damning allegations surfacing in bombshell files released by the US government. So among most sickening claims is an allegation purportedly from a former employee that two girls was choked under the orders of Epstein. Now, again, I can't say for sure that happened. No, I cannot. And I would never do that. Right? As far as I'm concerned, this is above my weight class, my welterweight. Yeah, this is for the heavyweights. But going into the mind of trying to, not that I want to, but I'm just saying, in the case of abuse of someone, it's not everyone that takes it lying down. And I mean no near endos with that, right? Some of them fight, right? So is it a case of two young ladies done the right thing and fought for their lives, yeah, and ended up being ordered to be to disappear, or were they going to say something? Yeah, were they going to talk? Did they try to escape? Who knows? Who knows what's going on here, right? So we got also testimonies from several victims years before the latest file release had already detailed how Epstein was able to use these premises without consequence, without any consequences at all. This was his place where he could get away with what he was doing. So we got a Balderas probe, right? This was launched when the shamed financier was still alive in 2019. And here it goes, quickly halted at the request of the federal prosecutions in New York. Okay. Right. So it's been sold. Epstein is nowhere to be found. Virginia Jeffrey, SIP. A moment of silence for Virginia Jeffrey and all the victims. We need to have some silence now and again to kind of, like, it's very easy to, overlook these things and not have any kind of sympathy, or if it never happened to you, you know. But over here, we want to be with the victims. Heaven forbid this happened to any person that I know. And these things have happened, and as I said, need a silence here and there for the victims. We need to remember the victims. They're not really being shown enough sympathy, and in my humble opinion, moment of silence there for all the victims. And Guthrie, she's no longer here. So on our screen now again, when I mean, is it that but for some reason there's an energy I'm feeling in these pictures, you know. It just I don't know what it is about all the properties of this Epstein and that. They just got a, it just feels a little bit, there's like a haunting, you know. You know. You know what I mean? What's that pan down there? Oh Lord. Yeah? Yeah? There's a little pan there. I mean, this looks like something out of a horror film. One of those Hammer films, yeah? My favourite, Vincent Price and Christopher Lee, yeah? The Hammer classics. I will be getting my audio fixed. I've currently got my microphone is on its way, so my audio should be better in the coming up um, lives. And apologies if the audio is somewhat distorted. So we have, you know, people being recruited, abused, right, on this ranch here, right, and also, you see, this is what I'm saying. The mastermind, you know, everything is planned out, you know. So every different state in America has different laws. So you'll have people moving to different states, yeah, and that's what it seems has happened here with New Mexico's trafficking statutes, which has failed to be strengthened. So this meant that he roamed with impunity, right? Also, the fears are this isolated ranch was a hub. This was a hub away from prying eyes. And this is for the seclusion. So again, very well thought out, right? Very well thought out. And for myself, it was going to take someone to disprove that that didn't happen on that premises. As I said, I have no evidence, but I would say that happened. Please prove that it did not happen. How about that? Right? So that's just one that caught my eye. That caught my eye, and I thought, boy, that looked, you know, and it's serious, you know. So you know, decades behind. The investigation is decades behind. Must make up for lost time and probe the ranch with a fine-tooth comb. Yes, because of evidence. You've now got to go through every bit of soil. Not with a tractor, yeah, right, and digging up huge bits of soil. Even if you do, you'd have to sieve that all out. You'd have to sieve it, and look how big that place is, the compound, right? And we've got these new files dropping. So this is the game changers. He's saying here, yeah, right, and investigators, right, will be putting this together. And good luck with that, right? The investigators, right? So 2008, we had the passing of a human trafficking statute in 2008. So I presume that there was a time where that wasn't the case, right? So who knows what took place over, well, we're 2026 now. So I'm terrible with maths here. 8. So is that 18 years? 18 years, right? So that's a long time to find any evidence. It is absolutely possible. But again, things obviously would diminish as time goes on. And plus, obviously, I don't know how it's going to work with. Obviously, he's not here to be defended, so there wouldn't be a trial as such. Well, not for Epstein, but he was not the only one involved in this. Not the only one involved. So from 1993 to 2008, so that's what? 7 plus 8. So that's what, 15 years. 15 plus the 18. Right? 15, 18. So that's what, 32. 32. Coming up to 33. So, over 30 years. That's a long time for them to just start now. Yeah, over 30 years. Right? And also 15 years of doing what he wanted to do on his property. The evidence is building up. People want to know what's happened. The victims need to have some sort of closure. So look at that. Is that Virginia Guthrie? So that's her on the horse there. Now again, we gotta be so careful with these pictures from now on. Pictures and video evidence, right? But again, this is her horse. Oh, riding a horse, not her horse, right? And this is when she shared a testimony. So she spoke about this. So we'll have to get that up. We'll have to listen to. Oh, here we go. Look, there she is. Look at her there. You can see the innocence in her face. Like many young ladies or young people. Even when I was young myself, you're acting older than you are, but the face, could never. Some people have. I mean, I think like Epstein looked like he had a face on him from when he was, he born with that old man face. You know what I mean? So, Virginia Guthrie, for me, when I look at this picture here, I see innocence. I see a lot of innocence here. And this picture, for me, with an open box, yeah? There's an open, that's like a treasure chest. Open, looks like it's got some pictures inside. She sat down in front of it. She looks kind of isolated in that corner there. This doesn't look like well, I can't see any people around, but I'm just saying by the picture, every picture that's taken just seems to have this kind of spooky vibes. So let's go down. So that's Virginia in the property there, right? She visiting, yeah. So you spend around 50 days a year. So that's So he must have found it a place where he found it comfortable, yeah. Right. So he spent quite a bit of time there. So he would have his personal assistants, bodyguards, friends, personal trainers, masseuses, and full-time employees as well. So there was people around. Whether or not they saw anything, that's another thing, and whether or not they want to say anything, which is it's possible, you know, it's possible, right? So it's a Spanish-style mansion. Also had an airstrip, a hangar, a helipad, and its own mini village labelled Ranch Central, where the guests stayed. Yeah, so it's like a what not like a theme park, but it's like a hotel kind of thing, isn't it? So we've got the FBI department in Albuquerque. So there were cabins which were used. STDs, yeah, right. So there were, so they, I mean, this is just, why isn't this being sorted out, man? Why is it that people are still around that may have had something to do with this? Come on, man. Right? No, no, never mind bombing. Never mind the supreme leader and regime change. What about this? What about this? What's going on here? Never mind about Cuba. Never mind about Putin and Greenland. Right in your own country here. This has taken place, and I've not seen anyone being charged. Are people being investigated? I don't know. 'Cause it seems to be oh, here we go. So this is the bit here. So a former police officer told the FBI Epstein built a suspicious barn, and this is where it's feared that he concealed an incinerator on the ranch. Yeah, many high-profile guests, and obviously you know who would be there. Blow of the whistle, the one, the only, Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor. Right. So at least the police actually, on his birthday in the UK, and I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy. Whether or not something comes out of it, but just the fact that he got taken down to the police station, at least shows a little bit of sympathy for the victims, you know, and holding up, justice. The normal person does such a crime should be put in prison, but this should go for everyone. If anyone does that crime. So this is the part about the incinerator. So the ex-cop who patrolled the area around Zorro Ranch for 15 years said he was worried evidence was being destroyed. And the document uncovered in the latest drop of the files has revealed an ex-police officer's chilling fears about a barn constructed at the high desert site. Right. So he was just days after Epstein's arrest. So from 2019, so he still had all. So he's up to 2019. So 2019. So he was 1993. He bought that place, isn't it? So it's nearly nearly 40 years. Yeah, right. And that's just at this property, right? So an old 1970s mobile home was recently put right behind the barn, which believes does not follow Santa Fe County regulations. So there's a lot of security for the property, including cameras, sally ports, and other security measures. The barn was constructed, doesn't look like a barn you would use for ranching. So the reports, the information to the FBI were made because he was concerned evidence was being destroyed. Right? So that's the ranch. And yeah, something went down there. Right? Something went down there. So we have another Epstein survivor, Anna Farmer, previously testified that she was abused, and also Maxwell, and this was when she was at 16 years old. You know, traumatic experience for many hours. You know, after being flown to the ranch on his private jet. She was only 15 at the time. Right? So there's every possibility of wrongdoings at the ranch by rich, powerful figures. Right? So let's see what else this one here. We've got some more pictures. Look, we've got some more creepy pictures here. Yeah, creepy pictures. Right.
Let's get to some breaking news that is still unfolding. The Trump Justice Department FBI documents missing in the initial releases of the Epstein files. Right now, MS Now is pouring through these new files. We are taking our time to make sure we get it right, and we want to be careful on what we report on air. Here is what we can tell you right now. 3 of these documents are FBI 302 memos, notes that FBI agents used to interviews. These notes contain unsubstantiated sexual assault allegations against Donald Trump. Specifically, they detail an unsubstantiated account of a woman who accused Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein of sexually assaulting her earlier when she was just a teenager. One of the new documents reads in part, quote, redacted was asked detailing her at this point in her life when there was nothing could be done about it. There are many redactions on these forms. Trump has long denied any wrongdoing connected to Jeffrey Epstein. To discuss, let's bring in MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin.
Lisa, again, I want to just reiterate what Elisa just said for our viewers. Is we are definitely combing through all of these PO2s, these forms, these FBI interview intake forms were the thing that, as we have interviewed survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse over the course of the last couple of things that they themselves wanted to see files. And so the fact that today we've gotten at least 2 of these by my count, you may have more, I think it's important, and it is important that we get this right. Talk to us. There's a lot in here. Anybody that has had a chance to take a look at these, they talk a little bit about blackmail. They talk about an intimidation campaign. Obviously, those allegations against then citizen Donald Trump. Walk us through how we should be looking through all this.
So, Simone, we have already seen an initial interview with this alleged victim and accuser of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in the files. We knew that there were 3 others. In fact, MS Now joined NPR and an independent journalist, Roger Sullenberger, and reporting on how we figured out that those documents were missing from prior production. So the first thing I want to say is that we, in fact, existed, that they were in the Department of Justice's possession, and that their claims that these documents were duplicates is just not credible, because in reading them, they don't sound like any document that any lawyer considers a duplicate. A duplicate is usually an email exchange or a text exchange where you produce one portion of it and then maybe you later see a longer portion of it. That is not what this is. What these are 3 additional Form 302s reflecting 3 additional interviews of this same woman, where, as Alicia just said, she tells the FBI that she is aware that because of when she alleges her abuse occurred, and specifically because it was in the 1980s, and we're now talking to her in 2019, she tells the agents that she's aware the statutes of limitation of any federal violation may have run. She asks the agents, what's the point? And I think the agent's response here is just as interesting as some of her allegations, as unverifiable and unverified as they are, because the agent says all victims of crime should have the opportunity to tell their story, and they wanted to give her that opportunity if she wanted to, and she just didn't take it. To me, this is significant because we knew that this woman had allegations about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, who she says she met when she was a teenager, and that both of them sexually abused her. What we didn't know is how it ended. And now we're seeing that the way that it likely ended is that the woman refused to cooperate with federal law enforcement authorities. She said that she understood that Trump was the president. She had contact with him when she was a minor, and when she was asked if she was comfortable detailing it, she reiterated, what would be the point of providing this information at this point in my life when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it? That's at that point in the interview, the agents, and I'm reading from this 302, or rather I'm trying to characterize it, basically said, go home. Take an opportunity to think about it. We're here if you want us to be. And it doesn't appear that the woman ever availed herself of that opportunity. Instead, 2 weeks later, as we know from documents that are already in the files, one of her lawyers contacted the FBI and said, basically, from now forward, your communications with this alleged victim, they go through us.
You know, Lisa, just listening to you describe and share of it, you can feel the frustration of the victim there. You can feel the anxiety, and it really, you know, for me, y'all have heard me press this around this table, and certainly our audience has, about the redactions and the importance of exposing who these men are. You already referenced, Alicia did as well in the intro, about how heavily redacted these documents are. Not just the documents that we've already seen, but these 302s in particular. Talk a little bit more about the redaction, can be done about the redaction, because I firmly believe the moment you can pull back the cover on a name and expose it fully, you have vindicated these women. And that frustration that I felt what she said to that agent can be addressed.
Michael, it's a really, really tricky thing, right? Because I agree with you. I talk to a lot of these survivors, including survivors for whom 302s are already in the file. Them, I often learn things that you can't see in these produced 302s because of how heavy the redactions are. I'm thinking about someone I even spoke to earlier today. At the same time, there are members of Congress who obviously we know have access to see these files. They can see what we cannot. And yet We know from the experiences of certain members that when they try to put those names in the public domain, oftentimes they're not the people that they think they are. They make assertions about who they believe these people to be, and then find out, lo and behold, they are not those folks at all. It's somewhat of a dangerous game that we are all playing here. And the only people that are able to see these documents in their fully unredacted form either work at the Department of Justice or they are elected as members of the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. And that is the unfortunate reality in which all of us, including and most importantly, the survivors are living right now.
This comes as just yesterday, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena Pam Bondi in this probe. What do you make of the timing of this release?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. 44.
I think that this release has a lot to do with that response. Some reporting last week in both The Guardian and in Breitbart discrediting this particular accuser, quoting from the same 302s that had been produced. And of course, people like me were wondering, how did they possibly see those? So the fact that they are in the public domain right now, I think is an effort to quell some of the loud shouting that folks have done about our reporting and others identifies documents that are missing from the production. And all I'll say about that, the most salacious missing documents from the production, but they are hardly the only one. The Department of Justice has left behind indices of prior witness statements for more than 500 people, almost 600. You look at those indices carefully and you sort of reverse engineer it, you can see all sorts of instances where people whose names are not known have prior statements in the form of 302s from the files. Some of those people have also made allegations, Alicia, against other prominent people in American law that the committee might be interested in. There's certainly people for whom the survivor community is interested in seeing some accountability. I would like the Department of Justice to take seriously the possibility that their production was under-inclusive and non-compliant with the law.
Yeah.
So, you see, they're covering up something, aren't they? They're covering up something. Can't prove it, but it's fair.
It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules. I'd like to have a conversation for now. It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules. I'd like to have a conversation for now.
There's nothing that I saw that made me realize he was trafficking women.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear?
The Clintons testifying about convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. What one of America's most powerful couples say they did and didn't know or do.
No one is above the law, especially presidents.
Only now can we scour the body language, peer into their eyes, and begin what it might be like if President Trump was ever forced to do the same. Let's start with Bill Clinton Exhibit A. A mystery photo in a hub recently released in the president is relaxing with their face for the first time. Something of an explanation.
So do you recall the details of this photo, recall the photo being taken?
No, I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Clinton was on a trip to Brunei for his AIDS foundation. Mr. Epstein.
5 minutes, I did whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
More on Mr. Epstein in a, or at least a very uncomfortable $1 million question, of which Mr. Clinton has been asked before. Means sex crimes.
When did you first learn of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes?
was prosecuted.
Young women or girls?
Absolutely not.
Well, at least one of the claims that you flew in a helicopter with Ghislaine Maxwell to the island.
Did you ever?
Then I did not do that island.
One thing Clinton and Trump have in common, they both spent time Clinton claiming that at one point Trump had remembered Epstein fondly.
Donald Trump would play a few holes with us. And he somehow knew great times together over the years, but we fell out, all because of a real estate deal. And he said, I'm sorry it happened. That's all.
Trump has previously said he'd fallen out with Epstein not about business, but the financier's treatment of women and girls. Clinton had begun his testimony by reading a prepared statement, which included a robust defense of his wife.
She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
And Hillary claims to have never met Epstein, although she did know his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell.
I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island or offices. I have nothing to add to that.
The politics of seeing things before the Republican-controlled House Oversight Committee were of course not far from the surface. Many Democrats claim it's a smokescreen to try and shield Trump. And beyond what we actually learned last week, there was the theater of it all.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
There are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's
So I would
sake.
like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't
Excuse
matter.
me.
We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So I would like to take a break at this moment.
yeah,
and I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Mrs. Clinton, one of many Democrats, who's saying if she and her husband had to testify, President Trump should too.
Right. So, joining me to dig into what we learned, all the way from Washington, D.C., Lauren Windsor. She is an advocacy journalist. You may have followed her work, and a communications consultant. Lauren, thanks a lot for finding time to help us make sense of this. I guess the big question, are we any closer after the Clintons decided to talk? Are we any closer to President Trump either being asked to or agreeing to appear?
Absolutely not. And, I think that the only way that happens is, when Democrats retake the House in January, when a Democratic majority is seated.
Are you banking on that for that to make the change?
It's the only scenario in which Trump is going to actually sit to be deposed. There's no other way that he comes in. I mean, I think it's clear that Republicans don't have any appetite to call him. And
even if the Democrats do retake the House and then the committee and the Oversight Committee, that still doesn't mean he would show up, right?
Right. I mean, he will. I'm sure he used every executive privilege to say that he does not have to come in to face questioning.
Pretty awkward moments for Bill Clinton too, around the jacuzzi and what may or may not have happened between him and the person that he's pictured in there.
Said from day one, I don't care if it's a Democrat or if it's a Republican. I think that they all need to burn if they were having sex with underage, with girls, with minors, that they need to be held accountable for that. And if Bill Clinton did, then he needs to face accountability. Both he
It's a
and
very
Hillary
firm denial, wasn't it? But he has made firm denials of a similar nature in the past.
Certainly, but I mean, we also don't see pictures of him on the island. We don't see pictures of him at the ranch. Was he pictured on the plane? Sure, and he also explained those things, and I think explained them pretty fulsomely. And again, I would say if there's proof that he did it, then hold him accountable. So.
Well, lots of people who protest their innocence, who nonetheless may face further questions. One of the remarkable things, I guess, about the entire appearance is the theatre of it, the personal and the political. What did you make of Hillary storming out? Was that manufactured, or did you buy it?
Is there some flair to it? I'm sure there is, but I definitely felt her aggravation with, different lines of questioning, whether or not it was from Lauren Boebert or Nancy Mace. I'd be irritated too if I had really never met the guy.
I think a lot of people will watch what happened and see it as political theatre and an attempt not so much as to answer the question, but to try and compel the president, the current president, to be summoned.
It's certainly political theater and is.
Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, as always, Brittany.
I want to pick your brain on something that you did this week. You looked through the unredacted Epstein files. Walk us through that experience. What was it like?
I did. Unfortunately, the transparency law that we passed to require the unredacted version of the Epstein files to be public was violated by the Trump administration, because when the files were released and under that law, there were thousands and thousands of redactions. Now, had they just been redactions of the names of victims as the law required, then that would have been one thing. But it was very clear that there was, and so we have an opportunity at the Department of Justice to go and look at the unredacted version. And what I saw, Brittany, was incredibly disturbing. There were not only government lawyers who were involved in the negotiation of the sweetheart deal that Epstein got, whose names were redacted illegally, but also I saw the names of individuals like a billionaire hedge fund manager who was implicated in the likelihood that he knew about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, traveled to Jeffrey Epstein's island, was on his plane, and it clearly indicated that that he had that information. Why wasn't he interviewed? Why isn't the FBI investigating him? These are things that absolutely should occur so that the Epstein survivors can get a measure of justice. There was another name redacted that was of a private investigator who was accused of going into Jeffrey Epstein's home to remove items to hide his crimes, and his name was redacted. Why isn't he being investigated? Why hasn't he been brought before the Oversight Committee to testify about what he knew? So, I mean, that just scratches the surface, and it's all incredibly disturbing, unlawful, and I'm going to just continue to fight for the full transparency that the public and the survivors deserve.
So you're telling me I can straighten my teeth in as little as 4 to 6 months from just £38 a month?